Jimmy. Bring this to me. Do we have anybody and folks we're waiting on or anything? Romy, are we waiting on anybody? We're good to go? Okay, let me get all hooked up here. Dave. Okay. Well, everyone knows we had what I would classify as the greatest session in probably the history of this state. And so many things accomplished. You know, we surely at one point in time looked like we had impasses and mountains that we couldn't cross over, or valleys too deep to go through them as well. But we did it, and so we got bills here to sign and pens to pass out and incredible stuff, you know, of a relationship with Ireland that we're going to talk about here in just a minute too. But y'all are so far away. Why are y'all way back there? Y'all come up here. I mean, come up here. My gosh, 11. Thank y'all for coming up here. But let's just talk just 1 second, okay? Just think about this. We went down a path, the centerpiece of everything has got to be the tax reduction. I mean, my gracious sakes, 11. $750 million are going to go back into the hands of hardworking West Virginians, you, all of us, and everything. What's that going to do? I mean, first of all, it sends a message to the outside world that, you know, you come to West Virginia, it's a great place to live. We're on a pathway of reducing our income tax. We're on a pathway, you know, of doing other things in regard to taxes. We're a welcoming state for your companies, jobs, you know, just being neighbors, just living here, doing remote work here, on and on and on and on and on. But there's other things. $750 million put back in your hands. What are you likely to do with it? Spend it. All of us are very likely to do that. When we spend it, it starts turning and churning and becomes a multiplier effect. And anybody would tell you probably about any dollar that's spent in West Virginia, you have a 10 times multiple. Well, if that be the case, that turns into $7.5 billion that's churning around in our economy. Now, whether it's $750 million or $7.5 billion or something in between, it's a big deal. That's all there is to it. Now, with all of that, we've done other things. You know, we passed a budget. We have these incredible surpluses, and I'll go over real quickly in just a second all the different things, and I'll only touch on just a few. But all the different things that we're doing, we absolutely now have what we are very hopeful of is as close to a permanent fix for PEIA that we haven't had in the past. Now, with that, again, be really fair. What I did in the beginning is I sent $100 million up in my budget that said we'll just put $100 million in PEIA, and the legislature decided, nope, they don't want to do that. They want to take that they want to take that back out and do something else with it. And what they want to do is come up with some methodology to really permanently put PEI on a pathway of being fixed. Well, there was some debate. In my budget, I said, I want to do the pay raises. And then there was some that said, no, we're not really fired up about doing the pay raises because people are going to get a reduction in their income tax. And then there was discussion back about the car tax. And let's be really fair. That's all I'm asking you to be, is fair. Way back when, on the Amendment 2 deal, I surely was in opposition because I wanted our counties to remain in control. I'm a real believer in local control. I'm a believer that the people out there, if you've got money in your pocket, you'll make better decisions and Charleston will make decisions for you. It just stands to reason, surely to God above, you've got to believe that states make better decisions than what's going on in Washington. So that's my whole belief, and that's what I think. So then I asked Secretary Hardy, I said, and all of his gang, I said, you come up with a way, Dave, that we can get rid of this crazy car tax. Nobody likes it, but we got to take that off the table. That's got to get away from being the centerpiece of Amendment 2 and get it off the table. And so he came up with a way and said, I'll tell you what we can do. We can let the people pay their car tax and it go to the county, and then we can rebate them the money right back out of the general fund, and literally they'll be whole completely, and in many cases from electronically 82 or whatever percent of them that quick. And the others, have to get a check back and blah, 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 blah. Okay. So we sent that bill up. Now, the good thing about this is, along the trail, I told people, they said, well, if Amendment 2 fails, how do we know we're going to get rid of the car tax? And I said, because there is no chance that you're not going to get rid of the car tax. I'm saying if Amendment 2 happens to fail, my first bill will go up, and it did, and that will be a bill to absolutely rebate your money back. And that's what happened. There's no point in debating that in any way. That's exactly what happened. And then even better stuff happened. The Senate came and said, tell you what we want to do. We want to use that same bill, and we want to rebate a portion of the machinery and inventory tax back, and we're willing to do that with just our small businesses. And when Dave Hardy then comes and says, that's 71,000 accounts. 71,000 accounts, is that correct? 76. It's even better. Now, these are the backbone of our whole economy. We get all that. I said immediately, what's that going to cost? And Secretary Hardy and his people all went and worked really hard. It was $35 million. $35 million of the $750 million was that. Not a lot of money, really, when it really boils right down to it. And then there was an idea along the way that said, let's do something for our disabled vets. Well, who on God's earth wouldn't want to do that? And again, it wasn't a lot of money. So all of a sudden, everything just starts working together. Personalities had to leave. We had to check our egos at the door. And all of a sudden, like it or not like it, how did it really all get worked out? And I will promise you, I know the answer to that just as well as I know my name. Toby and Edith worked this out. You worked this out. Literally and truly, all of us, both the House and the Senate and myself, all of us heard Toby and Edith. You. And that absolutely drove all of us to say, you best better check your egos at the door. We can all work this out. Now, I've done lots and lots and lots of deals, people, and I'm a real believer that really the way to do any deal is, for God's sakes, a living. We got to be grown-ups, first of all, and grown-ups worked this out, and it was really good. Just think, I proposed a 30-10-10 income tax reduction. And a lot of people would say, well, we didn't get a 50% income tax reduction. I didn't propose that. I proposed a 30, and we got 21.25. I proposed a 10, and we have a trigger for that 10. I proposed another 10, and we have a trigger for that 10. And not only that, but we have triggers for 10-10, 10-10, and 10-10, and take us all the way to zero. It can't be any better. From my standpoint, it can't possibly be any better. Think about what we did. So, let me think which one to sign first. Well, I guess I'm going to sign the budget first, and that's House Bill 2024. Now look, from Jim Justice's standpoint, he thanks Speaker Hanshaw, he thanks President Blair, and all of those upstairs. They did good. They really, really did good. And we all worked really hard, and I especially thank all my cabinet and all the people in that tunnel back there that worked really, really hard as well. Today is an incredible day. Let me just read you just 2 or 3 things. This passed the House 87-7, and it passed the Senate 32-0. It's basically, again, an essentially flat budget. The budget is $4.874 billion. I think we've been hovering between a 4.5 or a 4.6 or something like that, and a 4.8. We've been doing that for a long time, and that's good. And what that should tell you is we have really looked after the store. We have not frivolously thrown away money and money and money and money and money. It's really, really, really good. Now in this, it also includes 34 budget surplus items. Now, and just a few of them are just this, and naturally, my communications people started out with a couple that are dear to my heart. Here's what I said, and I said this over and over and over. I don't know of a program anywhere that's working any better in the schools than Communities in Schools. Now, there's lots of good stuff that's going on in our schools. But if you're in the schools, and I'm in the schools, I will promise you that, and I'm not real crazy about the national deal on Communities in Schools, but I will promise you what Kathy and Vicki and all the folks right with her and everything are doing with Communities in Schools, and all the caseworkers, everybody that's involved. You wouldn't believe it. You wouldn't believe how many people just need a helping hand, that are hungry, or just need a coat, or just need somebody to take an interest in them, or somebody to mentor them, or whatever. And those people are kids that are so at risk, literally in many, many situations turn into the best story that you could ever hear. Those kids have been maybe very disruptive in the classroom that hurt a lot of other kids. And lo and behold, what do? they end up in many cases models. Now look, I'm telling you, and I have, you know me well enough to know this. I don't blow smoke at anybody. I don't do that. I challenge the media all the time to find something where I have knowingly told you something that's a lie. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. Now, we got to compromise. We got to do stuff, and I make a lot of mistakes, but I'm going to tell you the truth. And I'm going to tell you just this. If you really knew, your heart would be touched so many times it's unbelievable by what has happened in our schools with this program. I asked for nothing. I said, in the scope of everything here, I asked for nothing. Remember, this is $4.874 billion. I said we needed $5 million more money to get to all 55 counties. That's really good. About the only other things I really asked for is just this. I said, surely to God above, if we've got $4.874 billion, we don't need hungry people in West Virginia. We don't. We really don't. Now, I know some of the folks maybe ought to go get a job or whatever. Maybe you'd say such a thing. But I'm telling you, at the end of the day, we created a fund, an emergency fund, called the Posey Perry Emergency Food Bank Fund, and put $10 million in that just for emergencies, that our food banks would really need that level of help to be able to supply more food. You may say, well, who's Posey Perry? And I'll tell you this. He was my uncle. He died not long ago. He was 94 years old, worked his whole life in the coal mines, was one of 10 children, was the last child of my mom's family. Think about this. Every time I ever visited my grandparents, I never had indoor plumbing. Never. Now, he had, because he'd moved away and everything as he grew up and everything. But in all honesty, after he retired from working in the coal mines his whole life, you can't imagine that he spent day after day after day after day after day in the food bank, working the food bank. He did it religiously. And he was a man, a godly man in every way. A really, really good person. So we got $10 million there just in case we get in trouble. We've helped communities and schools. Now I'm going to read through a bunch of these. We got $67 million that we shifted over out of the surplus into tourism. Think about what tourism is doing right now in West Virginia. It's exploding. Every dollar we spend on tourism literally over and over returns us instantaneous dollars. Instantaneous dollars. Do you realize I think the number was $5 billion was spent in West Virginia last year by our travelers. It's amazing. Absolutely unbelievable. We put $40 million in the school building authority. We put $20 million to keep this nursing program that we've got going and working like crazy. We put $1.6 million into Jobs and Hope, which is absolutely helping those that are afflicted with this terrible drug problems. We put $10 million in a program that has been unbelievably successful in the EMSs and the recruitment of those people and everything, the very people that you look upon first, that run to the fire. We put $1.5 million in a West Virginia Land Stewardship Corporation. We put $500,000 to buy a new fire truck for the deaf and blind school. We put $400 million in an income tax reserve fund just in case we get upside down and get in a bunch of trouble. I don't think we'll ever touch it. In fact, I really don't see the need at the level that we went in on, because we went in at a lesser level, but nevertheless it's there. We put in $125 million to build new labs and everything that are desperately needed all across this state and everything, and for crying out loud, we just need to do it. We put in $29 million for a project in the osteopathic school, $50 million to build a new cancer center, cancer institute at WVU. How many in this state will benefit? It's unbelievable. We put in $282 million to help, absolutely retrofit, fix up, whatever it may be, to our jails and our colleges in a deferred maintenance fund. Like I said, there's 34 items. These were just a few of the highlights, but let me get at signing this now. I want you to look at this. This is the culmination of lots and lots and lots of work. Our finance chairs on the Senate and House side have done marvelous work. It is absolutely unflat believable. And not only that, we didn't sit in a special session, did we, for weeks on end trying to get this done. So here we go. There it is. There's your budget. Good stuff. Great stuff. Okay. You won't hear me talk forever and a day on these others, but this is really good. Really, really, really good. Okay. Now we got Senate Bill 423. It is our pay raise bill. It passed both chambers unanimously, and I just think it's just terrific. Now, what it'll do in many situations, it backstops the increase in premiums and everything to PEIA with anybody, and I think this is right, and Dave, you can help me with this. I think anybody that their pay is less than $133,000 a year will end up with a pay raise and their PEIA covered. So to me, it's a major step in the right direction, and maybe we could have continued to do and backstop it and everything with just pulling out some surplus dollars and keep kicking the can down the road, but this doesn't kick the can down the road. This is absolutely moving in the right direction to have you the assurance that when you go home at night, you're not going to have to depend on just the hope of maybe having surpluses and being able to kick the can down the road. This does it, and this does it in a way. And I would tell you just this too. This is the fourth pay raise. You remember way back when we did a 5% pay raise, absolutely, for our state employees, absolutely, it was the biggest pay raise percentage-wise in the history of the state. Well, we've done 4 of them now. And I hope to goodness before I'm gone, we'll be able to at least do one more. And because I know the job you do. I know what you do. I know how hard you work. And absolutely, you make us look better and better and better every day. And I know what you do. I'm proud of what we do. I know from a standpoint of our schools that we can do better. I know we can do better. But I'm telling you, if you're not in the schools, you absolutely don't see all the good that's going on. We've got all kinds of good stuff going on in our schools right now. Now, I'm back on the soapbox. Listen to me. Go to any school. I don't care what the school may be. You go to any school, especially go in with the little kids. Go into the 4th grade in any school, and let's say Miss Jones is teaching the class. And you get those 4th graders out there and you say, what do you think of Miss Jones? And I'll bet you all the money in Texas that they'll tell you, oh, we love Miss Jones. And you know why they love Miss Jones? Because she loves them every single day. And then here's the next litmus test. You go to any one of our small communities and everything, and you say, what do you think about our school? And I'll bet you all the money in Texas again that the overwhelming majority of those folks say, oh my gosh, we love our school. Well, if the people that are walking the street love the school, and all the kids love Miss Jones, there's got to be some doggone good stuff going on right there. I know it. I know it. I know we can get a lot better, but I know there's all kinds of good stuff going on too. Here we go. I'm signing, and I'm signing very proudly again. Okay, there's your pay raise. Okie dokie. I got two more. Here's your PEI bill. It's a little longer. I've already talked enough about it and everything, and I'm very, very proud of this as well. So here we go. A permanent fix for something that we've searched for a long time. Here's your PEI bill. Thank y'all. I'm looking for a bill. Last thing I have. Oh my. Well, you know, it's St. Patrick's Day. And thank goodness somebody called me this morning and said, be sure and wear something green, because I may have forgotten it. But nevertheless, you know, this is just another step forward. You know, this passed 33-0 in the Senate and 84-10 in the House. The lead sponsor on this was our Speaker, Speaker Hanshaw, and absolutely, I'm going to sign it with a green pen and everything. But this is just one step forward to absolutely work with Ireland and of all places, West Virginia, on being able to some way, somehow drive more and more and more business, visitors, whatever, back and forth between us. So here we go. Green. Pretty good. And the legislature did the same thing. So it's very appropriate, especially appropriate to sign it on this day. That's all I got. If you know, I know you're probably all sitting there thinking, well, we're glad the governor signed all this stuff. This is really good stuff. It's an amazing session and all the great stuff we were able to accomplish. And we're glad to see the governor, but where is baby doll? You know, I know that's probably what's going on, and I understand, and I'm envious of that little dog and everything, but I did not bring her today. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You know, she looked right at me and little sad eyes and everything, because she goes crazy when I don't bring her, you know, but nevertheless, I just thought this is, I want all the focus to be on this. So that's all I've got. Thank y'all so much. I appreciate you. God bless. You're the greatest. You're absolutely the greatest.